my wife demanded. Sell our house and give me absolutely everything. You will be nothing without me anyway, just son. She said this in the courthouse hallway, handing me the pen. I signed away the house without arguing. A year later, she saw a magazine cover of my new fiancée and me. I, 38 male, had been with my wife, Serafina, 35, for 9 years. Our life in Miami was a sun-drenched picture of success. I was the general manager of a prestigious luxury hotel on South Beach, a high-pressure job that came with a salary of $250,000. Serafina was a top broker for a luxury yacht firm, a commission-based job that often saw her matching or exceeding my income. We lived a life of unrestrained opulence. Our home was a stunning $2 million waterfront property in Coconut Grove. We dined at Joe's Stone Crab, had drinks at rooftop bars overlooking the ocean, and our friends were a glamorous, sun-tanned mix of real estate moguls and international business people. Thank you for watching. Stay with me until the end. The story holds a twist you won't expect. Subscribe to the channel and support its growth. We had everything anyone could want, but I was deeply unfulfilled. My job was managing a gilded cage, catering to the whims of the ultra-wealthy. For years I had nurtured a different dream. My passion was not for sterile luxury, but for authentic, sustainable travel. My big life opportunity was not a promotion, but an idea to create a new chain of boutique, eco-friendly hotels in remote, untouched corners of the world. It was a vision of a new kind of travel, one that respected nature and local culture. This dream, however, required capital. A lot of it. My plan was audacious. I wanted to quit my job, sell our waterfront house, and pour all our joint assets, nearly $3 million, into funding the first 2 properties. It was an all or nothing bet on my vision. I presented the plan to Serafina one evening on our beautiful patio, the lights of the city glittering across the water. I laid out the business plan, the financial projections, the incredible potential. I spoke with all the passion and conviction in my soul. I thought she might see the visionary in me, the builder, not just the manager. Her reaction was a bucket of ice water on my dreams. "Are you insane?" she asked, her voice a low, dangerous hiss. "You want to sell our home? You want to liquidate everything we've built? Would be building something new," I replied. "Something of our own. We'll have something of our own," she said, gesturing wildly at our house, the pool, the docked boat. "This? You want to trade this for a glorified hut in the jungle? You're not an entrepreneur, Caleb. You're a hotel manager. That's what you're good at." The conflict was a wildfire. She mocked my dream. She called me a fool, a naive child playing with our hard-earned money. She was terrified of giving up the security and status of our current life for the uncertainty of my vision. My dream was not an opportunity. It was a threat to her entire identity, and she was determined to crush it. Update 1. The weeks following my proposal were a cold war fought in the beautiful, sunlit rooms of our waterfront home. Serafina refused to speak about my eco-hotel concept. Any attempt to show her my research or discuss the plan was met with a stony silence or a dismissive line. "I am not talking about this fantasy, Caleb," she would say. "It's not a fantasy, it's a business plan," I would reply. "It's financial suicide," she would state, "and I won't be a part of it." Our friends, who were all deeply invested in the Miami world of luxury and status, reinforced her position completely. They saw my dream as a bizarre, almost comical, form of self-sabotage. "Dude, you have the perfect life," one of them, a real estate developer, told me at a party. "Why would you throw it all away to go live in a swamp? Serafina is right to be worried." Another friend, a wealth manager, added, "You're risking everything on a pipe dream." Their mockery and my wife's unyielding opposition pushed me into a corner. I knew I couldn't let my dream die. It was the most authentic thing I had ever felt. But I also knew I couldn't move forward with her fighting me every step of the way. I started my preparations in secret. It was no longer about convincing her, it was about planning my own path. My secret planning began with small steps. I incorporated my new company, Terra Nobile Hotels, without telling her. I started having quiet conversations with potential co-founders, a brilliant sustainability expert, and a seasoned hotel operations manager I had known for years. I used my personal savings to fund a prototype, building a detailed architectural model and a virtual reality walkthrough of the first planned hotel. I worked in the shadows, my passion fueled by her disdain. My office became my secret headquarters. I would spend my nights not looking at real estate with her, but researching remote coastal properties in Costa Rica and Belize. I was building a new world in my mind, a world she had no place in. The inevitable discovery happened one evening when she came home early from a client meeting. She found me in my office, surrounded by topographical maps, architectural renderings, and financial models for Terra Nobile. The look on her face was not one of curiosity, but of pure fury. "What is this?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I told you this was over. It's my future," I replied calmly. "You went behind my back," she said. "You're still planning to ruin our lives." The fight was the most explosive we had ever had. It ended with her making a single, chilling demand. "A divorce," she said. "I want a divorce. I will not be dragged down with your sinking ship, and I will not let you take what I've worked for and burn it on your stupid dream." She was convinced my venture was doomed to fail. She saw this as her only way to escape the impending financial ruin she believed I was causing. In her mind, she was the victim, and she was about to make sure she came out on top. I had started my secret planning to build a company. Now, I had to add planning my exit from a marriage. Update 2. The divorce proceedings were brutal and swift. Serafina's motivation was not just to separate, but to punish. She was driven by a cold fury, convinced that I was a fool who was about to lose everything. She wanted to get as far away from my impending failure as possible, and she wanted to take every last piece of our successful past with her. The confrontation that sealed my fate took place not in a quiet office, but in the harsh, impersonal hallway of the courthouse, just before our final hearing. Her lawyer had just presented my lawyer with their final settlement demand. It was breathtaking in its cruelty. She wanted everything. I walked out of the conference room to clear my head, and she followed me. She stood before me, a triumphant, predatory glint in her eyes, and handed me a pen. "Just sign the papers, Caleb," she said. "Sell our house and give me absolutely everything. The cash, the investment accounts, all of it. You will be nothing without me anyway. Just sign." She truly believed it. She believed my success was tied to her, to the life we lived, to the people we knew. She thought that by taking away the money and the house, she was taking away my entire identity, leaving me with nothing but the worthless husk of a failed dream. I looked at her, and I didn't see the woman I had loved. I saw a stranger, someone whose heart was made of ice, and in that moment, I knew that holding on to any of it, the house, the money, was a trap. It would mean a long, ugly fight, years of my life wasted on a battle over things. My dream was waiting, and it was worth more than any of it. I took the pen. I went back into the room and told my lawyer to accept the deal. I signed away the house, the savings, everything. I walked out of that courthouse with my freedom, my business plan, and about 10,000 in my personal checking account. The fallout was my complete and total erasure from the life I had known. I moved out of our mansion and into a tiny rented room in a shared house in a rough neighborhood. I sold my car. Every dollar I had went into Terra Nobile. My new life was the polar opposite of my old one. I worked 18-hour days from a cheap co-working space. I ate instant noodles. I poured every ounce of my being into my company. It was the hardest and most exhilarating time of my life. Slowly, it started to work. Our vision of sustainable luxury began to attract attention. We won a major hospitality innovation award. That award led us to our first round of seed funding. It wasn't much, but it was enough. It was during this time that I met Alara. She was a brilliant, young architect who specialized in sustainable design. I hired her to bring our first hotel to life. We clicked instantly. She didn't just understand my vision, she elevated it. Our professional collaboration quickly turned into a deep and meaningful personal connection. The big financial win came a year after the divorce. A major venture capital firm, impressed by our progress and our vision, invested $25 million into Terra Nobile. Overnight, my failed dream had a valuation of $100 million. I was a multi-millionaire on paper, and we now had the capital to build our first 5 hotels. I never posted about my success on social media. I was too busy working. But the news got out. A major business magazine decided to do a cover story on Terra Nobile, on the hotelier who gave up everything to reinvent luxury. The magazine cover was a photograph of me and Alara, my lead architect and now my fiancée. We were standing on a beautiful, untouched beach in Costa Rica, holding the blueprints for our first hotel. The headline read, "Caleb Vance's $1 billion bet on paradise." The flood of texts and emails started the day the magazine hit the stands. Old friends who had mocked me and taken Serafina's side were suddenly full of praise and apologies. And then, Serafina showed up. She flew to Costa Rica and found me at our construction site. She tried to act like she had always believed in me. She said she had made a terrible mistake. She told me she wanted to be a part of my new life. I looked at her, standing there in her designer clothes amidst the dust and hard work of my dream. "You said I would be nothing without you." I reminded her calmly, "You were wrong." I rejected her firmly and finally. A year after that, I was thriving, with 3 new hotels under construction, and a new life with my partner, Ilara. Serafina sent one final, pathetic text. I regret everything. I didn't reply. Final update. About a year after the magazine cover came out, Terra Nobile was the talk of the travel industry. Our first hotel in Costa Rica had opened to rave reviews, winning awards for both its design and its commitment to sustainability. I was back in Miami for a hospitality conference, a guest of honor. It was a surreal experience, returning to the city I had fled with nothing. At the conference gala, a man approached me. It was Serafina's father. I hadn't seen him since the divorce. He looked older, smaller than I remembered. "Caleb," he said, his voice quiet. "Congratulations. What you've built is remarkable." "Thank you," I replied, keeping my tongue polite but distant. "I need to apologize." He continued, looking down at his drink. "When Serafina told me about your plan, I supported her. I thought you were being reckless. We raised her to value security, to value what you can see and touch. We never taught her to value a vision." He told me that Serafina was miserable. She had sold the house, as I knew, and had spent the money on an even more extravagant lifestyle, trying to prove to everyone, and to herself, that she had won. But the money was running out, and my success was a constant, public reminder of what she had thrown away, would taught her to be a broker of things. He said with a sigh. "We never taught her how to build one. She saw your dream as a threat, not an opportunity. We failed her, and for that, I am truly sorry." His apology was not an excuse for her cruelty, but it was an explanation. It was a final, quiet closing of a very loud and painful chapter of my life. I left the gala and walked out onto a terrace overlooking the same ocean I used to see from my old house. The view was the same, but I was a different man. I had learned the hardest and most valuable lesson, that the people who are with you, when you have everything, are not the ones who matter. The ones who matter are the ones who are willing to stand with you when you have nothing but a dream. My revenge was not just in my financial success. It was in the act of creation. It was in proving that my vision was not a foolish fantasy, but a reality I was willing to bet my entire life on. It was in building a company that was not just profitable, but also good for the world. I flew back to Costa Rica the next day, back to Ilara, back to the life we were building together. A life of purpose, of passion, and of a shared belief in building something beautiful. I was at peace, I was in love, and I had finally built my own paradise.